Today we're making a delicious onion and pecorino spaghetti. Let's do it. So I have to admit this recipe comes from Thomas Straker, so I'll link his page below where you can find his Instagram. It's a great little dish. I've adapted it a touch for my tastes, so let me show you how I make it. The first step, you want to take some onions, chop them in half and remove the skins, and then you want to fairly thinly slice your onions. This is not imperative, you can dice them up if you wish, but I find this is the easiest way to work with them. So with your sliced onions ready, you want to pop a frying pan onto the hob, turn the heat to medium and add a good splash of olive oil. Chuck your onion into the oil, season with some salt, and then the first step of the process, you want to very gently sweat down the onions. Remove the water and bring out that beautiful natural sweetness. This will take a bit of time, but be patient, it is well worth the wait to begin with. Once the onions have reduced down by about half, you want to add some butter. Be generous with the butter, this will really help the sauce later on in the dish. Add a nice generous amount of some black pepper and then turn up the heat a tiny touch, and at this point we want to start to get a bit of colour on the onions. We're not making entirely caramelized onions, we just want them to start to get nice and brown but not fully roasted off. At this point you want to take a bulb of garlic, and we're going to want anywhere between 4 and 7 cloves. It is up to you how much you want to use. Peel the cloves and then roughly chop them up. The sauce will be blended eventually, so you don't have to be too precious about it. Pop your garlic into a bowl, and then once your onions are getting nice and brown but not too caramelized, chuck it in, stir through the garlic, and you want to sweat this off with the onions for about 3 to 5 minutes. Next up, we want some chicken stock. So pour in just about enough stock to cover the onions, and then you want to spend about 2 to 3 minutes reducing it down a touch. We don't want it to be watery, so I'd say reduce it by about half so it's almost syrupy. Give it a taste, and next up, some Pecorino Romano cheese. So I like to grate in a good handful or two, stir through the pecorino, give it a taste, and then you can adjust with any more cheese or some seasoning if it needs it. And when it's tasting bang on, we're going to want a blender. Pop the onions into the blender, and then you want to blitz that up for a few moments until it's really nice and smooth. At this point, give it one last little taste for seasoning. Make sure you're happy. If you need to, blend it a little bit longer. We want it as smooth as you can get it. The onions will make it almost a little bit moussey, so it's going to be similar to a puree but not exactly. Now we have our beautiful onion and pecorino sauce. We can put the dish together. So pop a saucepan on the hob, fill with water, season the water nice and generously. We want it as salty as the sea, and for this one we're just using some lovely classic dried spaghetti. So when the water's boiling, chuck in the spaghetti, and you want to cook this through until it's nice and al dente. A little trick, cook it for 2 minutes less than it says on the packet. So give the pasta a try, and once it's nicely al dente, you want to chuck the pasta straight into a saucepan, add a little dash of the pasta water, and go in with a few blobs of your onion and pecorino sauce. Give it a really good stir through, toss it up in the pan. You may need to add a little bit more pasta water or a little bit more of that sauce, so make any little adjustments you need, and when it's beautiful, saucy and delicious, similar to a cacio e pepe, you're ready to go. So pour your beautiful creamy pasta out onto a plate, and you want to finish this one off with a nice grating of some Pecorino Romano and a few good twists of some freshly ground black pepper. And there we have an amazing recipe. Thanks very much, Thomas Straker. Find his Instagram below, give it a try, and I'll see you next time.